Hey everyone, it's March 26th, 2021. Welcome to episode 3 of my podcast, Is Breakfast Included? Today we're taking the podcast all the way to Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Why, you ask? Because it's the home of Dingwall Guitars, and today we sit down with its founder, Sheldon Dingwall. He's going to talk about his early days of guitar building and what led him to start Dingwall Guitars and everything in between. Now, I did this interview earlier this summer, so it's done via Zoom, and it's a little raw, and I really didn't know what I was doing. But that doesn't take anything away from his interesting story. So, I hope you enjoy it. Sheldon Dingwall.
How's it going, Sheldon?
Good, Bernie. How you doing, man?
Good. Dude, thanks for doing this. I've been wanting to talk to you for a bit about this, but so let's start, man.
All right.
Tell me a little bit about Dingwall, like the early days.
The company is 32 years old this year, and it basically started on a kitchen table. No. It started on a hotel bed. It wasn't until recently that I started recognizing myself as an entrepreneur. Previous to that, I thought entrepreneurs were just like business geeks, and that's not me at all. I'm a guy that when I get passionate about something, I start getting ideas on how to make it better. And if it's a mountain bike, I'll design parts for a mountain bike and machine them. And if I break my leg, I'll come up with a better crutch, and so on and so forth. So guitars captured my passion. Oh man, when tiny. I still remember the very first guitar I ever saw when I was 4 years old. I was like, oh, what's that?
Right.
And
right.
To where the ball got rolling was heard about this magical bridge called the Floyd Rose. I'm a guitar player, not a bass player, so I heard about this magical bridge called the Floyd Rose, and everybody was talking about it. No one in Canada had ever seen one except touring musicians, and they'd tell me about it, and I'd go, I gotta have one. And so I saw a picture of a Floyd Rose. It was that big in Guitar Player magazine, and I was like, what's going on there? I can't figure it out. And so a friend of mine and I sat down and we started designing one with hacksaws and drill presses, and I was surprised we didn't cut any fingers off, because we were doing crazy, stupid stuff on with these drill presses, with like milling cutters and steel and stuff. And so made a locking bridge. It looked like crap, but it worked, and got the bug. And so the next thing was, okay, now I want to build a neck, and now I want to build a body.
Did you have any like experience building guitars before this, or is this just?
No, and I had the opportunity to take wood shop in school, but that had zero interest to me whatsoever. I took electronics. I don't know why, because I wasn't very good at it, but that allowed me to study guitar circuitry. So I actually had I guess I've had music education up to grade 6. I've had no art training. So grade 12 electronics is about as advanced as I've gotten in education for anything that I've done in my adult life.
Okay.
Which pre-internet days, it was a lot harder to learn things than it is now. Now the problem is you can learn so much, you get stuck.
Yeah. Everyone's pretty much a savant now with YouTube.
Yeah.
I remember in high school, I took woodworking for the sole purpose that I was going to build myself a guitar. And the first day of class, the instructor was explaining to us the safety and the dangers of all the saws. And he started smiling and scratching one of the tables. And he looked up and he goes, oh, that's a little bit of blood right there. And so immediately after the class, I went and switched classes and I took tech theater, which showed me around the stage, showed me how to work my way around a stage. So yeah, I never built that guitar.
but it definitely influenced your career. That one drop of blood.
It did. It did. I don't know if it influenced it. Even back then, I didn't know. I could have never told you I was going to end up doing what I do, but here we are.
You know, you've got really good people skills, and it's just lately in my own life, I've really seen how important that is. You know, the technical side is important, but it really is, I would say, a minor of minor importance compared to the people skills, and to work at high levels. Maybe in areas of research or rocket science, stuff like that, technical skills, everything, and you can be a jerk and nobody cares because you're the guy that can make the rocket land on the moon. But for, at least in the entertainment biz, man, you don't get called back if you're a jerk.
Yeah, some people do. No, well, thanks, man. That means a lot coming from you. But so anyway, I interrupted you. So you started building your first guitar after you built this makeshift Floyd Rose.
Yeah. So the makeshift Floyd Rose, that was the first thing, and I didn't grow up in a tool family. Like my dad was a minister and my mom was a nurse. Music, piano was the only tool in the house, and so I was kind of the oddball. And for my 10th birthday, I saw an ad for a jigsaw on TV, a Black & Decker jigsaw, and I was like, oh, I got to have that. And so my parents, can you imagine, like, my parents, knowing nothing about tools, bought their 10-year-old kid an electric saw for Christmas, and then set me loose on it. I don't remember any instruction. It was like, here you go cut something. So
yeah,
fortunately it wasn't me, but I didn't grow up in a tool family. That happened later when my sister married a guy whose uncle was a tool guy, and then we just hit it off, and he built some guitars just as a challenge. You ever notice that people that are really good at stuff, they're attracted to the challenge, and they're not looking for the easy way out. They're looking for something harder to challenge themselves, so that everything else is easy. Well, that was him. And so he took me under his wing. His name was Alf Wilson. And I had this concept for a guitar. I looked at how I played and looked at my hand and went, if you look at that, a rounded neck, a symmetrical neck, is actually not the most efficient shape for the way I played. So I thought, what if I took more off the treble side and left the bass side nice and beady? Wouldn't that be a cool innovation? Not knowing that this is an idea that people have been doing for years, but I thought, hey, I've invented an asymmetric neck. So that got me started building necks, and so my first necks were radically asymmetric, but I didn't have truss rod technology, so I just loaded steel bars in them, and that was my truss rod. So they were heavy as hell, sustained for days, non-adjustable. Took them out and toured with them, and they actually worked really well. And then I wanted to try scalloping, but I was on the road and didn't have any tools with me. So I called up Larrabee and I said, hey, would you guys make me some custom necks? And they said, yeah, we'll do that. So they made me some custom Strat necks. I did one with a 2-inch nut and one with a inch and wide. Because at that time I thought, wouldn't a classical neck be cool? If I scalloped it, I could Yngwie Malmsteen all day long. And Larrabee was like, "Oh man, that's. Are you sure you want this?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm sure I want this." So they made me a couple of necks. Did they scallop
it for you? Did they scallop it for you, or did you do it?
No, I did it. That's where the hotel bed came in, and
okay.
So I was in the middle of rural Alberta someplace, and I went up and bought a bunch of tools and scalloped my neck on the bed, ebony dust everywhere. The maids were stoked, and didn't have, oh shit, you know what? It's upstairs. The guitar that inspired the scalloping was a Gittler, Do you remember those?
No,
those are the ones that look like a skeleton. Andy Summers played one in Synchronicity 2.
Okay, yeah, I do know what you're talking about. Yeah, I just wasn't familiar with them.
So I tried, the day before I bought those files, I tried one of those guitars and went, holy crap, you can do vibrato on an entire chord. And when you bend, there's no resistance, and you just get your finger and push the string instead of dragging the string. You can get so much more control over the strings. So that was like, let's say on a Saturday, and then traveled to the next gig Monday afternoon, bought the files, finished filing the neck at like 15 minutes before we played. So strung it up, tuned it, ran down, and played it for a set without ever actually having a chance to play a scallop fingerboard before. And I was hooked. So that became the business idea for starting my company. Was like, I'll make scalloped Strat replacement necks. I mean, there's a million Strats out there. Scalloping's cool. There's got to be at least 100 guys that would want to buy one.
So did that lead you to the concept of the Dingwall, or is there something in between that?
Well, I guess I was getting kind of tired of the road, and I was looking at my trajectory, and I wasn't doing this. I was doing that. So I thought,
as a musician, you mean?
No, as a musician, I was doing that.
Okay.
Because when you take your passion and you try and make a living at it, it kind of takes the fun out of it. And so I was practicing less on the road, which is the opposite of what I should have been doing. I had all that free time. I should have been writing songs. I should have been playing, but every night I'd be playing the same songs that I hated, and the last thing I wanted to do was get up in the morning and play more guitar. So I became a worse musician by going full time on the road.
Right on.
So that's a sign that I'm not a true musician. I'm not a true guitarist. And that was a sign that I should be doing something else.
Yeah.
So my business plan was to just build Strat replacement necks. And I figured the neck doesn't take up much room. It doesn't use much wood. It's interesting to me. Like they fascinate me. The precision of them and the feel I thought was fascinating. And I thought, it's kind of a good little business model. And it turned out to not be a good business model. So that led to guitar repairs and building guitars and bodies, and then building complete guitars, and then bass players started calling, and for about a year I turned them down. I said, I don't know what needs to be done to get the B string that you're looking for, because everybody who called asked for the same thing. They asked for 5 string with a great sounding B, and I kept turning them down. But I don't know if you're like this, but do you ever get a problem in your mind and then you obsess about it? You can't get it off your mind, and you wake up in the middle of the night and you're worried about that problem. You're trying to solve it.
Oh yeah.
In my case, I obsess like that with everything, and so I was losing sleep thinking about how to build a bass, and didn't know anything about basses. But I did know about pianos, and I went, this is solvable. They've solved this with pianos like 300 years ago. What did they do? So instead of talking to bass builders, I talked to piano builders and piano repair people, and they led me down the road of long scale lengths. And also, if you look inside a piano, it's not every string is long. Only the bass strings are long. The treble strings are short. And so when I saw the Novak fanned-fret system, I went, bang! That's how you can get that's how you can get a piano. What works on a piano to work on a bass.
Okay.
And so that's when I started designing basses. Once I figured out, okay, that's how we can get scale length on the string that needs it, but not screw up the string that doesn't need extra scale length, the G string. Now I can start trying to figure out the rest.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, the guys at Baldwin were the most influential. Baldwin and Steinway, they were pretty helpful.
And did that, and by getting that information, is that how you came to the fan frets on the neck?
Yeah. And so, there were a lot of things where, I got lucky, just lucky. That rarely happens. But so first thing I did was go, okay, well, how long does it need to be? Some people trust calculations more than they trust physical evidence. I'm the other way around. I have to try something. I don't care about the calculations. I'll figure it out afterwards. But I want to see a physical sample and know that it works. I took a fender and then instead of putting a B string in the E position, I put it in the G position, because then I had the entire headstock where I could slide a piece of wood back and forth to test out scale length. And so I found an unmarked B string at the store where I had my repair shop, and it was a 130, and I stuck it on the G string, and I started, I tuned it to B and slid it out to 35 inches, retuned it. It was okay. It wasn't much better. Slid it to 35 and a half, and I was like, it's a little better. 36. It started to sound a little better. 36 and a half. It's like, yeah, I'm really starting to get there. And then 37, it was just like, when I compared it to the E string that was still on the bass, it was like, bang, those two have the exact same timbre. And so measured it 37 to length and went, okay, that's the starting point.
Wow, that's really cool. That's really cool to hear how you did it.
I mean, it was quick and dirty. It took, a couple hours and dialed in 37 inches as the starting point for the scale length in less than an evening.
And how long ago was that once you came up with the concept of that bass?
92.
92.
Yeah.
And then that opened up a whole new world for you.
Well, at that point, I thought the trail had gone cold, because I'm thinking this was prior to fannedfrets. This was going the piano route and realizing scale length is what we needed. So, okay, what length of scale length do we need? Okay, it's 37, and it's like, oh, well, nobody's going to play a 37-inch scale bass. It's just not going to happen. So I thought the trail had gone cold. And at that time, my passion was still guitars, and so I built this aluminum support structure that held the bridge and the neck, and then you could just swap out the body. And I thought, wow, this is so cool. You could have an alder body, and you could swap it out for a swamp ash between sets, and that's like, this is going to revolutionize the world. And then I open up this guitar player and see this fanfret Novaks, and I was like, oh man, I suck. That revolutionized the world. Things, my aluminum baby was nothing compared to that. So for a few minutes I was depressed and dejected, and then I went, oh, wait a minute, 37. That's how you can do the bass. So yeah, it was like a pretty quick flip around from there.
Right on. Cool.
And so that was late spring of 92, and there was a luthiers convention in South Dakota. And Ralph Novak happened to be there. And so I just finished reading the article and went, that's how you build basses. And I walked up to Ralph and I tried one of his guitars, and I thought, this is more comfortable than I expected. Ralph, what do you think about basses? I think, the concept really needs to be applied to basses. And we kind of hit it off, and Ralph said, well, I'll tell you what, why don't you do the bass end of things? I'll do the guitar end of things. And we shook hands, and I went back to Canada, and that was it. And I had a prototype ready. That was the summer of 92. I had a prototype ready for NAMM at 93.
Wow. That quick.
Yeah. It was, I don't know how I did it, but and I had a false start too, because I started out with a headless design, and the hardware came in and it was missing some parts. So I said, screw that. And I went out and bought tuners and took a Kahler bridge and hacked it apart and made my own bridge. And I talked Bartolini into selling me pickups as a manufacturer, even though I'd never built a bass before, and they were super helpful. So yeah, the first bass was maybe 2 or 3 months, and all that was designing the tooling and the concept and everything, and used that tooling for the next 2 years until my shop burned down. So went right into production. It was like there was no looking back. It was, this is going to work. I'm going to tool up as if it's a production model that people want, even though I had no idea if they wanted it or not. Yeah. And just had the faith that the customers would come, and they initially they really did. It slowed down after that, but initially a lot of people bought into it quickly.
Cool. Well, I say it was impressive on how fast you did it, but I know you, and I know when you get your mind set on something, you're pretty adamant about getting it done. Hence, a few years ago when I said, "Hey, Sheldon, I need a fretless bass in 2 weeks."
Well, you know what? I got a chance to, with you, I got a chance to see him play it, and he did this run up the neck where he just did this sustaining note and just slowly moved it up, and it just went on for like 2 or 3 minutes. It was really cool.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. So, once that happened, you said your shop burned down. What happened after that?
Well, fires are a funny thing. The very first call I got, either the first call I got was either the police or it was like Revenue Canada, which is the same as the IRS.
Yeah.
And, as if you don't have enough problems right at that time. But apparently, whenever there's a business fire, they look pretty good. You're assumed guilty until proven innocent. And so, man, so the next 30 days at least, I was looking at bank microfiches, rebuilding my finances so that I could prove that that tax return I sent you, here's the proof that the taxes, or that what I submitted was correct. And so that took at least 30 days of 8-hour days before I could even think about doing anything else. And so got that out of the way, dealt with whatever the police wanted to know. They interviewed everybody, obviously, with the fire, and they ruled me out, and then dealt with the insurance companies, and so on and on and on, just trying to rebuild. And there were so many cool people just helped out. Oh my God, like the entire musical community just got behind me, and they helped me out. Local builders banded together, 3 of us. We sat down and we joined. Well, this could happen to any of us. So why don't we systemize our production? We'll all use the same CAD software. We'll all use the same tooling systems, and we'll build our 3 systems independently, but using common systems. So if your shop burns down, you can come over to mine, and you can use your tooling in my shop and build your guitars. And so that's what we did. And that took a year and a half to reverse engineer the guitars and build the tooling, fit out a new shop. And the very first basses we built were for NAMM 1997. No, sorry, 1998.
And those were Dingwall basses?
Yeah. And so, that's another thing that I think it's just wired into me. Whenever I get knocked down, I don't want to just get back up. I want to get back up and be at a higher level than before. So when I retooled the basses, previous to that, they were 2-band only. So when we came back out, they were 3-band. We did some hardware upgrades, just a bunch of stuff just to make the basses better. And that was the motivation. It wasn't to get back up and running. It was to get back up and running and be better. And I can only speak for myself, but for me, that's hugely motivating.
So, is Dingwall up to anything? We'll fast forward. Is Dingwall up to anything like? I know NAM may not be happening this year, but was there anything in the works that you can talk about?
There is. I can't talk about too much because we're so far away from actually producing the production parts that I don't want to get people's hopes up, but I've got a headless design that I'm working on, and I've got the 3D modeling done. I'm just tweaking that before we build a prototype, and I think it's going to be an evolution of what's already out there, but with our twist on it, and ergonomically, I hope it'll be something where people go, "Oh, wow, that's really cool." And the other thing is we're working on pickups and have been for quite some time. And I recently reread a book that I haven't picked up in 30 years, and I saw connections between what I read and what I'd heard Paul Reed Smith talking about recently, and about where I want to go with pickups. And it was neat. Just this, all of a sudden, these connections all made sense. And so we started to change a few of the parameters in our pickups, and we're seeing that direction work out. And so we've got a long road ahead of us, but radically new pickups. It'll be a new shell shape. It'll be a new pickup design, and hopefully we can get that we can offer those pickups through the entire line. I can't guarantee that yet, but it's going to be a tone that we haven't done before, and it's going to be more in the funk gospel range, which is not an area that we're strong in, and but hopefully that will change things for us.
Yeah, cool. Paul's a cool guy, isn't he?
Yeah, super.
Super smart.
I haven't spent a lot of time with him. I just before COVID, I flew down to Maryland to tour the factory. Not so much to meet him, but mainly to meet the management team. And I had a bunch of management issues that I needed help on. Man, I just caught them in time, because if I would have been 1 week later, COVID would have shut it down. What a cool area of the country. I can't wait to go back there.
I guess coming from where you come from, being the guitar player and in a band, and, the makeshift Floyd Rose, all of that, do you look at your roster and sit back sometimes and think, like, damn, that's pretty cool? Like, the guys that are choosing to play your basses, you're not paying them, they're not doing it for the free basses. They choose to play your basses because it's, in their eyes, a superior instrument to everything else out there.
Yeah,
does that kind of blow your mind?
It does. It does. And we still have Hank Insall. He was our very first endorser. He still plays our basses, and it's been 25 years. Well, Leland's getting close to 20 years now, I guess. Or is it past that? I can't remember dates. So yeah, I mean, I never get tired of when a song comes on the radio and I go, oh, that sounds like our bass, and I look it up and I go, oh yeah, it's our bass. And I've even had an experience where I was at an outdoor show. I was 3 blocks away, and I went, man, that sounds like our bass. I didn't know who was playing, but I went, that sounds like our bass, and get there, and it's like, oh yeah, I recognize the sound. You can recognize your children's voices, and so same thing with bass.
Yeah, I bet that's cool. Like you said, like on a local level, you hear something and it's like, it's my bass. It's almost as cool as looking up at a huge arena stage and seeing your bass. Like it.
Yeah, because even in my hometown, I mean, it's rare to. I mean, it's not that rare, but I mean, it's still rare to go to a club and see one of our basses being played.
Well, man, I think that's all I have for you, man. I do appreciate you doing this. I do want to tell you that, like, I want to thank you for all the support you've given me over the last 4 or 5 years. Like from the get-go, from the first email I sent you, you were so supportive and helpful, and I never felt like you were trying to sell me on anything. Like, I just said, hey, we're interested in this, and you were like, hey, let's talk. And it was never like well, I'll do this for you, but you do this for me, which is, you get that a lot in this industry. And
right,
it's never been like that with you. And I think that that whole organic relationship that we've built has been passed on to my boss, and he feels it.
Well, I'm not in the business to take over the world. I'm not in the business to make a lot of money, and it's these. Well, for the first like 12 or even maybe 50 guitars, somewhere on that guitar there was a drop of my blood, because I'd poked myself or a sliver and it stained the wood, and it's hidden. But and maybe that sounds a little gross actually, but the point of it is that these aren't just, it's not just a product. This is like a child, and I don't want it in the hands of somebody who doesn't want it just so I can, make a sale, or just so I can use their name. If somebody's going to have our instrument, I want them to enjoy it, and I want them to be inspired by it. So that's, to me, that's the most important thing.
That's awesome, man. I feel kind of let down though that we didn't get one of the blood bases. So.
there's always time.
the next one.
All right.
Well, man, I appreciate your time, Sheldon. Thanks for doing this.
Oh, Bernie, I appreciate your friendship. You're a great man.
Yeah, take care of yourself up there, okay?
And I got to tell you, every time I run into you, it's just such a fun experience. It was almost a year ago that we bumped into each other in Northern California, and it was such a cool hang. So
at the Mount Winery, that was complete coincidence that we were in the same area.
Yeah. So I love hanging out with you, and appreciate your friendship.
Likewise, brother. Well, take care of yourself up there, and I mean it. As soon as all this clears up, I'm going to come up there and just bother you guys.
We'll put you to work.
I'm going to spend a week there with you.
We'll put you to work.
Deal, brother. Well, take care, right. Sheldon.
Take care, Bernie.
Good night. All right, bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
There you go. Sheldon Dingwall. Pretty interesting guy, huh? Visit their website at dingwallguitars.com and add them on Facebook and Instagram. Drop him a note. Tell him you know me. He'll really like that. Until then, we'll see you guys next week.